episode 26. We are recording this at 9 a.m. Eastern time on a Friday morning. And in the next 24 hours, my life is insane.
What?
5
Why?
p.m. today, we host my oldest daughter's high school graduation party. I get to grill burgers and dogs, which I'm really psyched about. And our yard looks amazing. My wife's
Oh,
Jenny's been a rock star planning this whole party. In fact, we have red, white, and blue petunia combos to go on each of the 8 tables under the 20 by 20 tent that's sitting in my front yard at the moment.
you have 20 by
Psyched
20
about that.
tents?
Yeah,
How
we
many
got a
people are you
tent.
gonna have?
If it rained,
Well, yeah,
we
okay.
got a lot of people come. Emma invited every kid she knows, I think. So, and
Heck
of course
yeah.
they don't RSVP. So,
Yeah.
No.
we could have 30 people here. We could have 75 people here, but the weather's supposed to be perfect, of course, because you rent a tent, and now it's going to be like 75 degrees and perfectly sunny today. So
There were 3 summers of my life, and with the trickle over into like 4 or 5, where the graduation parties were my summer life.
yeah,
Like
pretty much.
you're like, yeah, I don't RSVP. It was me and the boys that worked at the greenhouse and on the farm. We'd work, right? And then we'd cut out, and then we would show up. Like, it was like, I don't know, like, we were probably, now that I think about it, it's cooler than I thought it was at the time. But like, and people were always like, when are you guys coming? And I was always like, what are they worried about? But now that I think about it, like, we probably brought a lot of the party with us, and not like anything like we're
And
partiers.
consumed a lot of the food when you got there.
But like, there were 4 or 5 of us that would show up at a time, and we were all fun people. And so, now, okay, sweet. But
Yeah, you brought the party, but you also brought the draw on the party. So like somebody's parent was like, "Hey, how many of your friends are coming?" They're like, "I don't know, but Mason might roll up with like 5 dudes at like 7:30 and eat all of our food."
well, and there were certain places that we'd go that, like, because we were going to more than one party in a day.
Right.
So it was like, well, hey, if we get off at 5, we're gonna go hit up Michaela's party
Yeah.
from 5 to 7,
5 to
and then we're
7
gonna
and
go
then
see Kevin's party, and we'll just crash there. And so,
yeah, because they're gonna have a bonfire. Yeah.
So what we used to do in the summer, like, obviously there's farm work to be done and like a lot of weeding, and we'd go to market on Saturdays and stuff. And then we would on Saturday night, there's grad parties, so we go to the grad parties on Saturday night. And then Sunday morning, all like 4 of us that would work together all played like 18 and over baseball.
Okay.
And so we would get up and we would go play in this like beer league baseball, but none of us were old enough to buy beer. But there were like, half of our dads were on the team. Like, my dad didn't play, but like a couple of dads did. So we were the sons of pitches.
Nice.
And but the games would start at like 9. So we would
Perfect.
literally go to the grad party, bring all of our baseball stuff, sleep in our cars, get up, all drive and go to this baseball game. Yeah, that's summer living. But well, good
That
luck.
is, kids don't do that anymore.
That's weird. Like,
We
I
should have
lived
a
out of my
bunch of kids
car
come to our
most
house to
summers.
play volleyball, and they're gonna leave at like 9:30.
Like high school, Mason? Is this high school?
From the ages of like, so I was probably my junior year of high school until I at one point it was like, okay, we're Will Ferrell showing up to this party at 20 years old. So like, but like it was like my junior
I get
year.
older, they stay the same age.
Well, it was like I was a junior in high school and then senior in high school. So all the kids I graduated with, and then the year after, like we were close with the kids that were a year younger than us. So
Okay.
like we'd go to those parties, but yeah. So this just,
Well, we do say, like, I always say, high school kids today are built different, but I will say that we'll just continue with my next 24 hours. At 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, show up at our church to load up to go to our senior high service trip in Maine. We are taking 85 high school students and 30 adult leaders in vans. So I'll be commandeering a 10-passenger Ford van with my team of students and my co-leader. But these kids are pretty much giving up a little over a week of their summer, all the grad parties, to go and just work on other people's houses. And so I do say that I pick on, a lot of people pick on kids today, or high schoolers today, but there's good ones, and they will work, they will put in the time for other people, and they got good hearts. So
that's
I don't know.
awesome.
That's what's up in my world. Seth, what are you up to? Anything good? Working?
Just this summer, just trying to keep the kids from getting too bored. But
Yes.
then also trying to
And they will
promote
say they're
boredom.
bored 5 minutes into the day. I'm so
You know,
bored.
I don't think I hate to just I mean technology effing blows most of the time, but like I feel like kids now, because they've had so much entertainment at their fingertips, like it's so much easier for them, and the threshold for boredom is so different. Like
It's like
well,
0.
Mason doesn't count probably in this story, but like Bill, maybe Mason, did you ever, when you were a kid going on a car ride, did you have the little water toys like games where
Oh,
you
dude,
Oh,
we
push
have
yeah,
the
with
like
our
buttons
kids.
and the
basketball.
rings?
And the ring one, we have.
Yeah, the
Yeah, the
ring
ring
one.
Sammy
one.
and
Like,
Daphne have them.
yeah,
Nah.
yeah. But
Mason
that
had
was
older sisters, so he definitely got the hand-me-downs of the water game.
yeah, that was like excitement, for us.
Yep.
But so like the boredom threshold was just so different growing
Mhm.
up. Whereas like, our kids are like, oh my God, like I
No,
had to
you're
sit
right.
here doing nothing for 3 minutes and this was
I
really
I was
boring.
kind of in between that. I
Mhm.
had I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys remember these. I don't even know if they make them anymore. They might. But I vividly remember this was in high school. My game of choice, my gaming system was handheld Yahtzee. It was like one of those little plastic things that
Oh, and
just
you
kinda
popped
Mm.
it in the
no,
no?
it was like it had like a screen and like
Oh, so it was battery.
but it was just like it would just sit there and it was like, oh, you rolled 6, 7, 5, or I guess not 7, but it was like it was specifically just this big and it was just Yahtzee.
Mhm.
And you were just like,
Yahtzee.
you have a high
Yeah,
score. You got
yeah.
Yahtzee.
You bought it at, like,
And
Walgreens.
actually, I think
Yep.
a girlfriend bought it for me.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
When I was like
Wow.
a
That's
freshman or
romance.
sophomore in high
That is
school.
romance. Here is a
As a
handheld
Chris
Yahtzee game to take in
as
the
a
car.
Christmas gift. She got me a pair of gloves
Wow.
and Yahtzee.
Nice, nice.
But
Love it.
but the water games, because I don't know, that's like at the hill that we'll die on, I guess. Like my kids haven't, and my son's only 4, but like he hasn't
Oh,
touched
man.
like a video game. He doesn't know what they are.
That's good.
So, and we don't do iPads and we don't
Mhm.
do like DVD screens. That was
Yeah.
popular. That was popular like when I was in high school.
Yeah,
Families
like on the back of the
Well,
seat back DVD screen, yeah.
if you don't
So
have iPads, who's going to babysit your kids then?
That's a
Like,
good
what the
point.
hell?
me,
You don't put them in the stroller with a can of Diet Coke and an iPad? Take them around,
can't
send
Diet
them
Coke
around?
maybe, but no iPad.
They're still pretty
It's like,
young
no, Red
for,
Bull.
but
It's so funny. Me and Alex do love Diet Coke, and so anytime we have a beverage, they're like,
Mhm,
"You having Diet Coke?" And like, I don't know, over Memorial Day weekend, like I cracked a beer, and they're like, "You having a
mhm.
Diet Coke?" And I was like, "Absolutely."
Yes. Yes.
Hmm.
But
Dad likes Diet Coke.
but no, they have the water games
Oh,
that like,
okay.
and then we bring them to restaurants because we're not screens anywhere, but some
Yeah.
people are like, "Oh, here's your tablet and your headphones," like zone out.
Mhm.
We don't do that. We like to torture ourselves, and so we like hand them these water games, and they're like, "I don't want this." And so then
Yeah.
Alex and I are sitting there at this restaurant like for lunch, like last weekend or the weekend before, and her and I are just like trying to get all
Right,
the
yeah.
rings on the
Yeah.
water thing.
You're ignoring the kids are like, "Why aren't mom and dad talking to us?" You're like, "Hey, because I'm gonna
Well,
try to get this ring on this little hook
That's right.
for the next hour and a half." Well, we used to play Hangman a lot. Like that was our
yeah.
thing. Like with the kids, like we'd just sit there and just play Hangman on on the paper or on the paper placemat.
Yeah, and we do. That's a before bed game for Elliot. Sometimes we'll do Hangman, so we
Oh
can.
yeah.
I
We
feel like
always
that
like
would
to
give
come
you
up.
bad dreams. I mean, you're
No.
physically killing a stick figure,
Yeah, but they
If
don't
you're
have a
bad,
name.
one appendage at a time.
Uh,
if you're bad at it, you could be
see,
really good.
It's true.
see, Bill, but you can get around that though, because like right when the game ends and you get all the appendages, you just erase the top line.
Well, there you go. And
You
now
just
it's
erase
just a
the
stick
rope.
figure standing
Yeah.
under a candy
Yeah, then he
cane.
just has
That's
like a
pretty
little.
cool.
He just has like a cone head, and it's totally
Mhm.
fine.
It's kind of
Yeah.
wild to think we used to play Hangman in school. I doubt they do that anymore.
No,
With like
probably not.
spelling words. Like they'd be
Yeah.
like, "All right, this week's word."
Yep. You also can't play that game where you put your hand on the table and jab a knife around your fingers at school.
They didn't have that when I was in school.
All right. We got to get into these topics because we do have a hard stop today because Mason has some magical thing going on in
This, by
49
the way,
minutes.
I do want to go back to what Seth said real quick because this is actually like
30
relevant news. I
All right.
saw an article this week that was talking about current generations and future and current I guess old generations, new generations, and they were saying that is one of the things that like people like probably ending in my age and going older is like we know how to be bored better than new generations and it suits us better. So
the boredom thing, like if you go down that rabbit hole, there is science behind that. There's a lot that comes from being bored that's very good for brains. And yeah,
I think boredom and curiosity can go a little bit hand in hand, right? Like if you're bored and your mind can drift and wander, that's kind of feeds curiosity. Whereas like the generations now, the young ones are, it's a lot more challenging to allow them to, or promote them to be bored that would feed itself into curiosity. I think it happens here and there, but I feel like kids have to be a little bit more naturally inclined to be curious for it to work. Whereas the kids that it's just not natural for them to be curious. Like they're not, that environmental opportunity is like gone.
Well, and it's a good segue into our first topic because I remember, Seth, you talking about your horticultural journey was propagating those pothos. And that probably came from boredom. No, like you weren't on Pinterest looking at ways to propagate small plants for your, to create a jungle in your bedroom. Like,
no, my dad was probably like, hey, if you take little cuttings, the roots will grow, but only if you watch it really closely.
Yeah, exactly.
So just watch it.
If
and
you
over
don't,
the next 3 days,
stop watching it, it'll die.
Yep, exactly. So let's get into some of these topics. So I think due to my crazy schedule that I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I did lean on you guys for some topics. And Mason, you didn't even respond to that text, which is wonderful. Good job. Good on you. But Seth did. And I think this idea is really good. So why don't you kick it off?
Me?
Yeah.
All right.
I said that right as you were drinking water. That's awesome.
Yeah. No, this is
Good timing.
coffee, man, not water.
Right,
so my random idea was, while we know each other's horticulture paths and how we went down this route, like what was the other one that we almost took? Or maybe you didn't almost take it, but like what was like a heavy interest in high school, that wasn't plants that you were like, maybe you could have gone down that path. I'm just kind of curious for you guys, like what could you have almost done and what would have been different?
Well, Mason, you almost had a completely different major that would have taken you down a completely different path, right?
Yeah, but in a weird way, I kind of like, not that I'm doing any of our formulations or any of that, like that's Carrie, but in a weird way, like I went out and around and then like got closer back to probably where I was at in the beginning. So my I don't know, since the time I was probably a junior in high school, sophomore in high school. So I started, always a great student. You guys know that. I always brag about that.
So good. Plus.
Valedictorian.
Right?
I was
testing,
almost.
Whatever. And when you're in that segment of the student population, you get a lot of pressure to
so much pressure.
Not like
so
that.
Tough.
You get the pressure to go in a direction. That's just over there. No, like the pressure to go in a specific direction. Like when you are the straight A student in valedictorian, no one is recommending that you go into horticulture at your guidance counselor level. I mean, we can
engineering, pre-med.
Boom. They either want you to be an engineer, a doctor, or a lawyer. Like that's your three. And so
Seth and I pick on you, but we have no frame of reference on that.
Yeah. So
most people were like, you're not going to be a doctor, a lawyer, or whatever the
that
thing.
is entirely.
Are you going to go to school, Seth? Are you doing anything when you graduate high school?
Well, like, and anytime a guidance counselor is like, okay, when is your test dates? Where are you applying? What is this? What do your essays look like? Have you done the scholarship work? Like that is the entirety of the junior, senior year. And the pressure, and I say pressure, but the conversations are all, again, who has the best program for this? Where are you looking? And so it was always like, okay, that's why I ended up, my like final choices were Michigan State, University of Michigan, Case Western, and Cornell. And Case Western also had a good science program and pre-med program.
Where's Case Western again?
It's in Cleveland.
Yeah, it is.
There's a reason I didn't go there. So, but I had also, there was a time period where I really thought I was going to go to Johns Hopkins. Like that was my destination. And then I went out and visited Cornell. I changed that. But I thought I was going to be like, I took chemistry as a sophomore. most people struggle with chemistry. It was my jam. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, yeah, I thought I liked biology, but like, I can see how things work. And so in that, like, I spent 3 years of high school thinking I was going to be a chemical engineer. And
Mhm.
my
Gosh.
goal was to design either pharmaceuticals or like and this is kind of weird because it's two different directions. Pharmaceuticals or like agricultural products. So like sprays and like things of that nature. And so yeah, and then obviously we've talked about this, went to Cornell and decided that I
Yeah.
didn't apply the engineering school was tougher to get into. And
Right.
so I applied to the ag school, wrote my essays there. But like now that I think about it, like more so of what I was really into as a kid and a teenager applies to what I do now than
Yeah.
maybe what I was doing at Ball, in a sense that like fertilizer is a lot of chemistry. And so
Mhm.
while I'm not designing what we're doing, certainly when growers are like, well, this, and then talking to Carrie about like, hey, they're looking for this. And it's like, what can we incorporate? It's like, well, we can't do that because it's going to precipitate out with whatever else is in there. Like, this is all the stuff that I was like
Yeah.
thinking
This is
about
what
doing
you're
for the rest of
you
my life.
love to have that talk,
Yeah.
that discussion.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So but that's where I thought I like, I mean, I was eyeing big pharma, big ag, like Dow, like,
I heard there's some money in that too.
Yeah,
well,
you
and
could have
that's,
been
I mean,
super
that's
rich.
the
You could
thing
you
is
could have had 3 houses by now.
when you're the straight A student, that's where people are just like, how can we push dollar signs at this kid and be like, oh, if you want to make money, you have the
Mhm.
ability to go out and make money and go do this. And so, yeah, it was
They just don't mention the whole selling your soul part, but that's for a
no.
different episode.
And
Yeah.
I think maybe that's different now because like I
Yeah.
coached in high school at the high school level, I guess is what I meant recently for girls wrestling, and I felt like we like and even I mean I coached girls, but we were with the guys too, and like we had a guy that our team that was straight A's, and like I'm talking to him like he wasn't going to college and didn't
Yep.
want to, and it wasn't that he couldn't, but he was like, that's not what I want to do. Like, I want to be a firefighter. I'm going to go do this. And so it was just
Mhm.
interesting is that I think there's a little more thought and kids, teenagers get to have more of a say on what they want to do. And people are less
There's
like,
more just a wider world of opportunities.
yeah,
Certainly, I think some of that is socioeconomic driven, but there are a world of opportunities, and I also think that like yeah, I mean college isn't exclusive now. Like
no,
there's tons of colleges, and they really are want students. Like there's a lot of competition to get students in, so the requirements and I mean and the cost structure of college is so different now than certainly when Seth and I went. It's so expensive to go to college, and but anyways, that's a different topic. But that's so. Is that kind of the other path that you would have taken, Mason?
yeah.
Pharmaceutical engineer,
I
right? That's
I
what
mean, maybe I think that in it,
Chemical engineering to some
had I'm going to guess probably, I would say, yes, that's where my passion is. But had I went to Case Western, I probably would have went doctor route.
yeah, pretty much.
And probably
Dr.
Michigan
Day.
too, like University of Michigan. Had I went
Yeah.
to Michigan State, I think I end back up right
You'd
where
have
I'm
been
at.
in Hort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No, that makes sense. Well, here's mine.
Yeah,
And
let's go,
so when
Bill.
I was so after I had no idea what I wanted to do in high school. Like I had no drive to do anything. So when I went to college, is probably why I just went in and just picked a random major that I thought would make my dad happy, and that was a bad idea. Don't If there's college students listening or high school students listening, which there aren't, don't do that. Don't pick a major based on what you think your dad would be
all one of
happiest
them.
that you do. Because when you can't add two numbers together and you pick like finance, it's a bad idea. But anyways,
Unless it's horticulture. Like
That's a
if
good
you're
point.
a kid and you want to make your dad happy and you want to go to
Yeah.
horticulture, that's totally fine.
Right. So anyway, so we'll just say after my second year of college, I was like, I'm gonna go into the Peace Corps. Like I thought that was what I was gonna do, and then my other option would be like then I was gonna come back and try to get an English degree and go into grad school and be an English professor. Like I was like I want to be an English professor. Well, I decided not to do that. But I would say so English professor or writer or something. But I always say if I wasn't doing what I'm doing now, I would go back to school and become a kindergarten teacher. Like I think that would be fun to teach that age kid. I would like to teach by sitting on the floor all day. But I mentioned that to my wife, and she goes, they would eat you alive.
Live.
That is her exact
Oh.
quote. She's like, you would like not even make it a semester. So
Well, it's interesting you say that because like Alex is a teacher by trade. She's not teaching that currently, except for our children. But a lot, like all of her friends are teachers, all of them. And I know several kindergarten teachers.
oh yeah.
I don't think that's a job for anybody. Like I know somebody has to do it, but in talking with
But-
people,
Yeah. But I mean, I think that
No?
I would rather teach the little kids. Like, I mean, my wife's a middle school teacher. Alex was a high school teacher, right?
yeah.
So, I mean, those kids are middle school, especially. Like, you got to be a really special person to teach middle school.
No, I think the sweet spot is like 4th grade.
Yeah.
probably.
Before they talk back, but they're old enough that they don't like piss themselves at,
Yeah.
halfway through the day.
Yeah.
3rd grade too. Maybe 3rd to 4th grade. 5th grade,
Yeah.
they start to get a little attitude because they're so
Yeah.
close to middle school.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Kindergarten.
So mine would
Woof.
be kindergarten teacher or English professor.
Oh, okay.
What
All right,
about you,
well,
Seth? It was your
well,
idea. You
mine's
must have a
mine's
great
probably
answer for this.
not as smart as either of yours is. So in high school, the
Male
only really
escort?
what?
Just thinking like male escort.
I'll stop it. Got me distracted now. Okay, so like in high school, my only other like real interest was like theater or
Okay.
like
yes.
performing sort of stuff. And so I started theater in sophomore year. So I was in all. Luckily, there wasn't a lot of guys that were like in theater,
Yeah.
so I got a bunch of
You get good roles.
Yeah, I was like usually I had a lot of lead roles, and so also I was often the comedic relief.
Yes.
So that's where like I started to like get this enjoyment of like making people laugh on stage.
Mhm.
And so then I also did is like speech team. So I had to like write my own speech. And so I like had to write like a 7-minute kind of monologue sort of speech with different characters. And I did go to state. I was actually really terrible at it for the like 3 years. And then the last year I got decently good.
Okay.
And so when I was applying to colleges, right? So I was like, all right, well, first of all, like my parents were like, you should go to college. We didn't go to college. None of our family went to college, and you're supposed to go to college. So they're just like, you should go. And like you, Bill, I was like, what am I going to do? Yeah. And so I applied to 2 colleges. I applied to U of I for horticulture,
Mhm.
and I got in. And contrary to Mason's experience, I was like the dumb kid in a lot of my classes. So everyone was like shocked and pissed off that I got into U of I because like all these kids that were like in all the AP classes and they're trying to go to business and they got like a 29 ACT score and they didn't get in. And I had like a 23 ACT score or something. And
I
maybe
think
like
that might be the national average. So it's
Yeah.
not terrible.
maybe it's lower than that. Maybe I'm just thinking of the national average. I don't know. So, but like literally people would come up to me like, what the, you got into U of I? That is such, like people were so pissed off. So,
Yeah.
so that was one path. The other path, I applied to Illinois State University for acting
Okay.
and a minor
This is a
in,
fun fact about Seth right here. I
agribusiness.
love this.
right? So I was
Wait,
like,
Did you just say a minor in agribusiness? Like
yeah,
you were
because I
like,
still at the point.
usually people
thing.
pick a minor that's like I have a
Tangential to the major.
yes.
Like I have an
business
English degree
major.
with a minor in linguistics.
I could have been a star, Mason. Could have been a star. Anyways, so that was like
Or
kind of
a
the thought
farmer.
An
because I was like,
agricultural acting star.
yeah. Well, anyway, so I was like super into like the theater, and I thought it was like kind of like hot shit too because I was getting all the lead roles. So I went and talked to the theater director, right? Because I was like kind of nervous, so I like wanted my time with her. I was like, so I'm really kind of thinking about this acting thing, and what are your thoughts? And she spent like 20 minutes talking about all the horrible things about being an actor and how I would probably starve to death and this and that, the other. So then like basically the theme was maybe I shouldn't do this path.
Yeah.
That was like
And see, now you could just come back to her and be like, listen, I won't starve to death because I know which berries I can eat at the Botanic Garden.
true.
I don't know. Seth, all of a sudden you just reminded me of the Liberty Bibberty guy.
Yes.
Liberty Burberry. Oh, the guy that takes like 5
The actor,
tapes.
the struggling actor.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that could have been me. That could have been me. Yeah. So I decided that maybe I didn't want to starve and that maybe it wasn't going to be as glorious or maybe I actually wasn't very good and she was trying to tell me that part. Like, maybe you're just
Yeah, I'm
not good.
wondering what her angle was because, like, I don't know, you have all the attributes of someone who could have succeeded in that had you taken that path.
Thank you.
Like,
Thank
I
you. I
might not
appreciate
have
that.
succeeded as a kindergarten teacher, but I'm fairly confident
Yeah.
that we would have seen you on a soap opera.
Well, so like to
And
Mason's
I'm
kind of
fairly
like
confident that Mason at some point could have worked in a chemical lab at Big Pharma.
well, the I think the long-term benefit for me doing the theater stuff is that I've pulled in a lot of the principles of public
Yeah.
speaking and making people laugh into all my presenting from my burpee days to Grow It to Darwin to the
It's sales.
inner
I mean, sales is
company
acting,
things.
right? Like, it
Yeah.
really is. So much
Yeah.
of sales is acting.
But like also like just like I don't think there's been a presentation that I've done where like my main goal in every presentation, the number one goal, make
Get 'em
people
to
laugh.
Yep.
That is like absolute, even when I'm
That's what
presenting.
draws people in.
Yeah. Like when we did our sustainability launch and Susanna and I did a presentation to Ball. So there's probably like 500 people in the direct audience and then like another 100 people online. Like as I'm playing it out, there's like one or two spots where I know I can push the message in a funny way and get people to laugh.
Yeah.
Which is wild in thinking about like how people that like coach public speakers, like they recommend so hard that you don't do that. And I say that
What?
because
Laugh?
they're like, no, it's always like, they're always like, don't try to be funny if you're not funny.
Yeah.
Like they
Well, they
like,
want you to command the room and drive respect. And
but like I remember that's like the biggest thing. And in writing and in speaking, because in the HRI Leadership Academy, like you have to give an end of the season presentation of your project. And I remember like they were like, if you're not funny, like don't try to be funny. Like it's not like it's
That's
just like,
scary.
But Seth, you are funny. Like,
yeah, but he knows it, but that's why I'm going to guess that anybody that Seth, if you were like going to take a workshop, that they would probably be like, they'd be like, okay, yes, we get it. You're the unicorn that can be funny, but like
yeah,
the rest
but
of you
tone
know.
it
a lot of-
down.
a lot
This
of-
is not
A
applicable.
lot
to
of
everything.
people write the humor into the words, and it's not so much about the words. It's about the engagement, actions, and silences, pauses.
It's a delivery, like a comedian. Yeah. Comedians know this. Like if you go to a comedy act, half the reason you're laughing is because the comedian has created like a delivery that
They brought you into
causes you to react to that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I think a lot. So that's been like, that was like as I've gone farther into my career, and I've super enjoyed public speaking because I can like make people laugh and do things in a different way. I feel very thankful that I had that time, because if I had not done that time, I don't think I would be as good of a public speaker as I am now. But I will say, just like then, like I put a lot of rehearsing in. Like, you know, people are like, "Oh, you're funny. You do such a good job." I'm like, "Yeah, but like I would be willing to guess I'm the only one that spent that much time preparing for this short of a presentation and legitimately concerned about the delivery, because I want to do a really good job." So yeah,
it used to
it's
drive
not
me
like an
nuts.
easy thing. What?
It used to drive me nuts because Bill, as you know, Seth and I used to give a bunch of presentations together, like tag team it. And I am very much I know the material. I know what the slides are.
You're going to wing it.
I'm going to show up and we're going to have a conversation. And Seth would always be like, when are we going to rehearse? When are we going to rehearse? I was like, we have 15 minutes to speak. I do not need to rehearse. Like we're just like, let's wing it. And he would be like, no. And I would get more stressed out about the rehearsal part, because I was like, well, I don't want to like now I'm just going to go back and regurgitate the same info. Like that doesn't feel genuine. And so, yeah, two different presenter styles.
Yeah.
And
but
because I'd be the
style
guy
is
that would be like,
probably
my
better.
rehearsal would be like, let's go through number slides. You got these 12. I got these 12. Great. That's all I need.
Well, that probably was working out best. So then I can like know how I was going to present. And I think that like they always say, it's not like good to memorize necessarily what you're talking about. For me, I want to know the things that I'm going to deliver, so that way when I'm like live, I can ad lib the kind of the reactions and like kind of focus on the delivery, not necessarily the content, where a lot of people are like just thinking about the content. So yeah, but
question.
yeah, so that was what.
So did you go into, I'm curious because there's a similar kind of take here. Did you go into theater? Like, did you sign up for your first theater class being like, I want to do this? Like, how did you do that?
So I had this buddy, Patrick Heckle, and him and I were trying to figure out, well, like we were sophomores, trying to figure out like, because you're supposed to do activities. And I mean, okay, you're not going to believe this, but I'm not super athletic. So I wasn't like necessarily on the football team to take up the whole semester or whatever. So we're trying to figure out what to do. And they had a women's bowling team, but not a men's bowling team. So
Oh,
we
wow.
were going to, so we were actually going to push for like a boys bowling team, or we should be able to participate, and then I think his girlfriend at the time was doing this theater, like trying out for the play. So he's like, oh, I'm being forced to try out for this play. Do you want to come do this too? And I'm like, sure. All right. And so then you have to like do this audition. And I remember like, and so there's probably like 25 other theater kids that you have to like audition in front of. So I did it. And like, whatever I did, people laughed.
Was it musical or play?
It was just a play. I think it was like, I think it was Alice in Wonderland was the first one. And I was the King of Hearts. Like I wore like these cards. And so I guess just like the way my like mannerisms or face or something, like people just started laughing at like what I was doing. And then like then on, like it just came sort of, it's probably just because I'm a little bit goofy. I'm not as smart as Mason. So I can't bring like the smart person persona. And
you're not giving yourself enough credit.
Whatever. My mom says the same.
Intelligence isn't always reflected in GPA.
That's right. That's right. No, I asked that because like I did 7 years of choir in high school and in middle school. And now I think I thought I was a better singer than what I was when I graduated, but I never had
No, you're still a good singer. Sing something for us.
I've sang a lot on this podcast.
You know what's going through his head right now is hold on loosely.
Yeah, let's hear
it. Exactly. Sammy last night was like, I want to hear some music. And I was like, you want to hear a little bit of 38 Special?
A little 38 Special.
So, but like I totally joined choir in like 6th grade because like I was like, ooh, and this is 6th grade. So I was like,
for the ladies, right?
Yes. I was like, there's a very few guys in this class. I was like, but all the cool girls are going to do choir. And so I did that. And then, my choir teacher, she actually knew my dad, and like, cause she was the teacher at the high school and the middle school. So she would come over the schools, different parts of the day. And my dad was the wrestling coach, and like, he had some guys on the team because she, like, I don't know, my choir teacher was tough. She was like the toughest lady in our school district. And anytime like he had a guy that like, I remember this is like early 90s. And again, we're in the middle of nowhere. So it's not like inner city gangs, but like there was a kid that was like in a gang and told everybody he was in a gang. He was a good wrestler. My dad was like, you're kind of being a little shit. You need to go take choir. And he was like, what? He was like, trust me. And so then he went and took choir with Mrs. Felton. And between the two of them, they straightened him out. And he was like a successful individual, great wrestler. She loved having him in choir. But yeah, so then I stayed with it for 7 years, and then eventually got to high school and I was in like we called it chorale, but a lot of people in the world would call it show choir.
Show choir.
Did you have jazz hands?
There were a lot of movements. There's a lot of movements that I still do back like all the time. I'm like, oh, this was like a standard movement for us when we didn't know what to do. It'd be like, oh, put in a little bit of this. And but then when I went to Cornell, there were a ton of a cappella groups. Like when The Office, like Andy, when he's like, oh,
yes, that's all. That is exactly what just went through my head. Is you're at Cornell doing a cappella group.
I didn't do an a cappella group, but what I will tell you is that there was like a strong urge, and I was like, no. Like you went from big fish in a small pond to like these people have real talent and they came here because they want to be in these a cappella groups. Like I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that. But everybody laughs and they bring up Andy Bernard, and people that haven't been to Cornell, like they don't realize that like that is whoever was the writer went to Cornell, had to have been, because there was probably like 30 a cappella groups on campus. Like, I mean, it was a big thing. And like every other day, like you'd walk from class and people would just be like, oh, like in the arches, like serenading people and be like, come to our show this weekend. And like they would chalk up this, like the other thing a cappella groups are really great at was like sidewalk chalk art, like full murals. Just come to our show on Saturday. And I was like,
street performing.
What?
It's like street performing.
They did it all themselves.
Oh wow.
So yeah, but that I wanted to highlight that's a real thing at Cornell, like
Yeah.
acapella groups, and it's like serious business. Like there's one group called they call them the waiters, and like if you were in the waiters, like that was a big deal. And we
Is
had
it
two
like
guys in our
serving
house.
food or
It was called
fishing?
Cayuga's Waiters, and they were like the best of the like they would play the concert venue at
Oh.
Cornell, like it was like a concert hall,
Oh,
and they
wow.
would play that. So
All right.
Mm.
Fun fact.
yeah,
Well, you know what, Seth? That was a good topic. I like
Right?
that
That was
topic.
pretty good.
We got about 10 minutes till Mason has to go. So why don't we spin
spin it.
the plant wheel of excitement? Sound like an idea?
And so
Yeah.
this is the idea.
All
Are
right.
you gonna share your screen?
I
Okay.
am. Here it is. The plant wheel of excitement. And here it goes. What will we be discussing today? Seth hopes it's a perennial.
Oh, it's not.
Cosmos.
Do you know what this plant is, Seth?
Does it
It
have
is
like really
old school.
does it have like stringy foliage?
Yes.
Yes,
I
it
don't know,
does.
I'm gonna have to look it up. I think I know what it is.
What?
Cosmos.
How do you not
It's a
know?
pack. I mean, it's a pack annual.
Yeah.
Back to
Sonata was one of the varieties.
Do you think was that a Pan Am variety or Syngenta variety or
I don't know. It's an
Benari?
old variety. It's like from
So
my
who's-
childhood variety.
Okay,
So
but it's kind of is it a cut? Like is it a? So you'd
No.
buy a seed pack or a pack.
so
They're kind of.
no.
Oh, go ahead. Mate.
So here's what I'm double checking my Sonata Cosmos. Yes, is that was
Oh.
like you could get a mix. It was like pinks, purples, and whites. But how I know Cosmos is that we used to be like, so we did vegetables, but we'd also do cut flowers, and so my mom for years did bouquets, and so we do
Okay, I was in because you cut them.
and annual cut flowers. So we would do
Okay.
sunflowers, zinnias, status, and cosmos.
Mm,
And so cosmos, I think, there were things like she did this from the time like I was born until probably I went to high school. And so there were things that fell off. Like she was like, these are just too hard. And I think cosmos was like the first to fall off because I remember for a time
Okay.
period it was like just zinnias, sunflowers, and status was the last thing we did. But cosmos, yeah, I mean, love. But
you see them in like cut flower gardens, wildflower gardens.
Yeah.
Like I mean,
Probably a
cosmos
big
are.
wildflower, right? Like in a lot of wildflower mixes.
but I don't know because it's an annual. But
Right.
So wildflowers aren't necessarily perennial.
but they also have a very specific. There's a smell to not like a floral smell, but kind of like to the buds. I remember crushing up the buds and smelling them as a kid.
Funky smell or a good
Like
smell?
very what I'll call like an herbaceous smell.
Okay.
But I don't know anything about the oil content, but I always felt like they were very oily, like when and they were full of like when you just crush these up, like it was like kind of like greasy on your hands. But yeah, no, and we in the garden center we used to have like tall cosmos, which were like 36 inches, but then I think
Yeah.
sonatas were like 12 to 24, and that's why I remember
Okay.
sonata was like
And I just looked it up. There are dwarf, like
Yeah.
there are compact cosmos.
because like we always used to have some that would bloom in the pack that people would take
Mhm.
and plant, and then some that wouldn't, and those were your tall ones.
Okay.
So
Seth, are you looking in the Pan Am catalog?
Well, I'm looking at the ball seed catalog.
Oh,
I was
okay.
just kind of curious. They got looks like a page for
what
How many series does Ball Seed sell of Cosmos?
hey, Pan Am
1,
Cosmos
2,
Sonata, that's the
3,
number one link.
4.
So I think it might be a Pan Am variety.
I think 7 series. I mean, not that many though, compared to it's not even a full page in the catalog compared to like
Yeah.
petunias, where it's like the other half of the catalog. Do you think it's like so? You think they've fallen off then? Like it was probably popular back when like packs were like so much of the industry, and now that there's
I
so
think of
many other
Cosmos as like an
things.
old
It's an
school,
old school
like
pack.
grandparents grew Cosmos from seed.
Yeah.
Like I think if you find it in a pack, you might have found it in a pack 15 years ago. But if you
Does it?
could probably go to 100 garden centers today and find it in like 15.
Yeah. Do you? Is it pretty good heat tolerance when you were growing
Yeah,
it, Mason?
from what I understand, I remember it being like a full summer thing, but I remember you didn't want them to dry out. Like they were sucking up a ton of water. So
Yeah. That could be not so good, but interesting.
yeah.
I wonder how you buy them now. Like, would they be in I mean, are they in plug programs?
I don't know.
Probably. I mean,
Or
if
you
there's
buy
like,
in
if they,
seed?
I'll tell you
Is
where
someone
I think
involved?
you're gonna see Cosmos. You're gonna see Cosmos at grower retailers that are popping their own seeds.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Hmm.
so you're probably likely to see them at Amish greenhouses
Uh-huh.
and smaller retailers where grow in the back, sell out the front. And yeah, I'm gonna guess that you're gonna see them in a 1204 anywhere to a 306 type
Hmm.
deal.
I'll have to, I'm gonna go, garden center hopping tomorrow. So, with a friend of mine, Bob,
Oh yeah,
actually.
yeah,
And so
This
I'll
is
have
what
to
you
keep
gotta
an eye out
find.
for.
yeah. You
What?
gotta
You
find
gotta
it.
find Cosmos.
Yeah, I'm gonna look for Cosmos. I
Yeah.
don't think I've ever looked for Cosmos before. So now
If you
I
find
will
them,
report
send me a
back.
picture. I'll put it on our
Well, and
Instagram.
I think
Okay.
Selfie
truthfully,
with Cosmos.
from what I remember, it's a pretty vertical plant. So that's where like
Mm.
you're not gonna see, at least for the Gen X that are out there, you're not gonna see it a lot in like a 4-inch program because
Yeah.
it's not gonna bush out. It's mostly like it's growing straight up like a traditional cut. And so that's where like
So
if people want to plant them, they got to plant a lot of them.
I just pulled up product information for Sonata, Purple Shade, and Pan Am, and plug crop time is going to take 5 weeks, 7 weeks to finish. So you're better just planting seed. But it's recommended for 5 to 6 inch pots, so it can actually probably get body on it to flower. But I don't know if you.
I never seen it in anything but a pack.
Yeah, me neither.
I'll report back. I'll let you guys
Pollinator,
know if I find
heat
any.
tolerant pollinator.
Gets
Hmm.
before I
tolerant.
jump.
Long blooming. I mean, it blooms forever.
Before I jump, Cosmos is a 2 thumbs up plant from me.
All right.
Oh.
Well, there we go. I love it. All right. Before you jump, any shout outs or hot takes?
No, not this week. No shout outs. Nobody's getting the cheers. Nobody's getting the jeers this week.
Well, I'm going to give a quick just shout out to the 85 kids and 30 adults I'm going to be heading to Maine with. I just think it's great to hear about people taking a week out of their summer, a week off work, week out of a fun summer for the kids to go to Maine, do good
There's
stuff.
a Noah Kahan song. I don't know if you're familiar with the artist, but he's like,
Yes, I'm very familiar, and we will be listening to that a lot because he's very popular with the high school.
He has a whole song.
contingent.
He's very popular with me. I don't know, but there's a whole song. It's like, I want to go to Maine. Every time you say it, it plays in my head.
I'm sure that will be played a lot.
So you're not around next Friday then?
I'm not. You guys are gonna have to figure this out on your own.
All right, we'll do.
All right.
But I will be around the following Monday, so I'm happy to edit it and put it out for the masses,
Okay.
for our hungry audience of viewers and listeners.
All right.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Cool.
Seth, any shout outs or hot takes?
No, I haven't got any. Oh, he's gone. No, I don't have any.
Okay.
I'll come up with sometime soon though.
All right. I don't know. My other shout out is to the weather gods. Graduation party today. It's gonna be like 77 degrees and sunny.
Oh, I love it, man.
Fantastic.
Well, have a great evening and weekend with all the family and friends.
Yep. And we'll catch up when I get back. And so that is it for episode 26. Thank you. Thanks to Mason who bailed on us for a meeting. It's actually 59 minutes past the hour, so he'll be there on time. To our listeners, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. As I keep repeating, we're looking for your comments. Send us comments. Send us your thoughts. What are your thoughts on Cosmos? Do you grow Cosmos? Do you grow them in packs? Do you grow them in gallon pots? What's your premium price point on a Cosmo? Comment about what you liked, what you didn't. Throw out some ideas. You can watch us on YouTube and Spotify. You can listen on Apple Podcasts. Best way to get in touch and find out what we're doing is follow us on Instagram. Maybe Seth will find Cosmos and send me a picture to post. We are there at G8 Squad Pod. Reach out to us individually. Lastly, be sure to like, subscribe, follow, be a friend, tell a friend about the show. Seth, have an absolutely wonderful Friday and weekend.
Yeah. Later, Bill.
See ya.